Hey YouTubers, thanks for tuning back into another video. We're doing a bit of a build series here. My buddy Mitch brought down his EG Coupe. It's got a B series swap in. It's an LSV or a LS non-VTEC. It's a B18B1. We've kind of put together a turbo kit. It all came in. Doing some different stuff here. Going to show basically everything on video. So Brandon Cooley is going to be doing the wrenching. And we should have a pretty exciting little series. So stick around. We'll go ahead and review the product and the parts here and get this party started. So guys, before we can really do anything, we've got to move some of the pieces around, get everything situated. And then from that point, get the car in the garage. If you watched the previous video, you'll know we've got this 2000 Civic for sale, still available, marked down to $1,000. So if you're in the Charlotte, North Carolina area or within driving distance, give me a call, shoot me a DM, PM, and take this puppy home. So first off, we've got to get this little guy out of here, and then we'll bring the other one in. See what kind of parts he's got in the car. I helped him pick everything out. We ordered it online, so should be pretty exciting. Let's go ahead and get into it. So guys, whenever Mitch dropped the car off, he brought it down on a tow dolly, and the battery was dead. The car should start up, so we're gonna hope I don't have to push it, and maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe it'll start. So, first time I've actually popped the hood on the car, to be honest. Looks like it's a B18 JDM B18B. Looks like it's got a P75 head. So everything looks good, guys. Looks pretty good. Give you a look-see. So let's go ahead and see if we can get the little old battery to hang out here with us. Maybe he's good and charged. Make sure to take this out of there. All right, so let's see what happens here. All right, we're in the car. So we don't have any juice. All right, so without any juice, sun's kind of in my eyes, but without any juice, we're gonna have to try to push it. So we'll put the camera down and we'll get you guys back in the garage. All right, so I'm a little out of shape, but I got it in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some of the items out of the car, get them all laid up here on the table, and we'll go ahead and go through and see what the turbo kit's gonna look like. All right, so it's all unpacked now. I've got it laid out on the table. Let's go ahead and flip the camera around, and we'll go through it piece by piece. We'll talk about what we're gonna do before the turbo kit. We're gonna talk about what we're gonna do for the turbo kit, and then some of the pieces that went along to make up the turbo kit. So in the greater scheme of things, you will be able essentially to replicate this kit. At the end of this series, we're going to dyno tune the car. You'll know what power it makes, basically at what boost. So you can basically recreate this at home. So stick around, watch all the series. You'll miss a piece if you miss a video. So let's go ahead and flip the camera around and get started. Okay guys, I would ask you where you want to start, but you're not here. So we're going to start basically with the items that we're going to do to the car to make it ready for the turbo kit. So what that's going to look like is the car had a really large full front end radiator. So if you remember in my previous videos, this is actually the radiator. It's a dual core single radiator from my EK hatch. So Mitch picked this up whenever I was selling it on Marketplace. So this is actually going to go in the car. But before we do that, we've got to put a clutch in it. So right now the car's got a stock clutch, and If you remember, whenever the EK hatch first started, we went to the dyno, it made like 300 horsepower on like 12 pounds, and it had a stock Advanced Auto Parts clutch. So we're not really gonna test and try to recreate that theory or anything, but Mitch went ahead and picked up my competition stage 4 clutch that was also in the EK before I went to a twin disc. So this is gonna start looking very similar. So this clutch has maybe 15 passes on it. The pads still look really good. It was kind of something that we probably could have used a lot longer in my car, but we wanted to go ahead and upgrade for the path to come here. So the clutch is gonna go in the car. We've got alignment tool, we've got a throw-out bearing, we've got our Honda manual transmission fluid. We're also gonna do an oil change once we get the turbo kit put back on, because of course we've got to drop the pan. So a couple things, clutch, radiator. We're also going to end up doing a thermostat, coolant flush. Just make sure everything's optimum, and then we shouldn't have any issues with this turbo kit. So when this car arrived, most of the stuff's already out of. I told you it had something with a radiator here. They actually went ahead and moved one of the feet over for that larger radiator that was in there. So this one looks like it's been put back with some screws. So what we'll do is, we need it on this side. We're gonna go ahead and probably take off both of the little feet here. Get the camera back over here to where you can see. So we'll take this foot and we'll put it over here so that way it'll have the factory location of the radiator. We'll get Brandon to stitch that up. Other than that, the transmission needs to come out of the car. So this will all be in an upcoming video, but just to give you a look and kind of see what we're up against. It's overall a pretty clean engine bay. Shouldn't be too bad. It's in an EG Coupe, so there's not a lot of extras. Looks like you still got a torque mount down here, so we'll try to retain that if it's all possible. Got the upper part of the bracket that may give us a little bit of clearance there. It's already got Hasport motor mounts in it. The car's an OBD1 car. Looks like it's basically an OBD1 swap. Let's see what the head looks like here. This one says 97, so that would lead us to believe it's a 97. Now, on the transmission, there's something that once said something S. So it shows S80 here. If you've got any theories or if you want to run the VIN number and let me know what it is, leave me a comment below. I'm sure Mitch would appreciate that. Other than that, basically ready to drop the transmission out so we can go ahead and get some of this preliminary stuff done. Stick around to the, I guess, part 2 of this series where we start actually turning some wrenches. For now, I want to dive into the turbo kit and we'll go piece by piece. We'll actually start with the turbo. The turbo came from Hunter Tuned. So if you're a YouTube watcher, check him out on YouTube, Hunter Tuned. He's also got a Facebook group. He's also got a website. Several pieces, I believe 2 different pieces of this kit we actually ordered from Hunter. So I started dealing with Hunter, met him back whenever we were doing the Honda YouTube challenge. I've ran his injectors in a couple cars. They seem to do well for the decapped LS base Chevrolet injectors. His turbos do really well. So that's what I want to talk to you about. So guys, this is a 3076 dual ball bearing. It's loose here so we can clock it, but this particular little guy should be almost identical to what was on my hatchback with a little extra pizzazz. So fancy version, dual ball bearing, should spool a little bit quicker, but it should net about the same outcome. So in the future, if Mitch wants to turn this puppy up, we should be able to make the same power we did on my car, if not a little bit more. The other thing that we got from Hunter Tune was the injectors I mentioned. So these injectors, you can order them on his website, huntertune.com. They come with pigtails. So what we're looking at here, I'm going to flip the camera around. So these are the flex fuel. Basically, they come out of an E85 compatible flex fuel Chevrolet from like 2005, whether it be like a 5.3 or 6 liter. He flow tests them, make sure that they're clean, cleans them out. They usually come in all different varieties. So he tries to find 4 that flow about the same. And then he gives you pigtails. So the pigtails aren't anything fancy. I mean, they look pretty decrepit. So we'll clean these up. But we'll use these to wire them in to the factory OBD1 clips. So we'll just solder them on there, heat shrink them, and then it'll look all like it was supposed to. So with this fuel, with this turbo, you need a couple more operation pieces, right? Operable pieces. So in order to make it work, you need a manifold. We went online, got an eBay cast iron manifold. This little guy is super simple, cast iron, nothing special. These little things will make the power we make, or the power that we're intending to make. So the goal for this car is 250. We want it to be something that he can drive back and forth, something that's reliable. You've heard this spiel before. So based off of that, we've got basically the parts that we need. We don't need a top mount to make 250 horsepower. We don't need, something that's going to be falling apart like these SS Autochrome deals. So cast iron fits the bill. It's affordable. It's inexpensive. And we're going to really be able to do what we need to do. So manifold's going to put the turbo on the car. We went ahead, we picked up 3-inch V-band with a clamp. So it's actually got 2 flanges in here. And we got a 3-inch piece of mild steel. I'm gonna flip the camera around so you can see it. So this is a U. So we're gonna use this with the bottom mount turbo, and we're basically gonna cut it in half. So this side's gonna come off of the turbo, and then we're gonna be able to mount the other side to make a little snake. So I know it probably doesn't make sense now, but it will whenever you see Brandon fabbing it up. So we've got a turbo manifold, we can bolt it to the motor. We've got a turbo, we can bolt that to the turbo manifold. We've got exhaust able to come out, but we need a way to regulate boost. So we picked up a Speed Daddy 38mm eBay wastegate. I ran a 44mm version of this on my hatch. They tend to be somewhat reliable. Somewhat reliable. It could fail the first whack we get at it. It's the chance you take for a $38 part versus a $200 or $300 part. But we're gonna go ahead and flip the coin. We're gonna gamble here a little bit. It comes with all the other pieces, so I'll show you what it comes with. So with the actual wastegate, you got 38mm wastegate. You can buy them with a variety of springs already pre-installed. This one has an 8 PSI spring in it. You're gonna get your little banjo bolts so that way you can plumb it. You're gonna end up having one on the top, and then there's another one, there he is, on the side. It comes with your firing ring for your manifold, which will actually go like this up inside here. So kind of get the idea. For you guys that have not seen this before, this is really for you. It comes with 2 gaskets, little paper gaskets. It's got a flange in which if you needed to mount this to your manifold or like get a little creative, it's got the indention and the recess here for the firing ring. And then on the other side, what we've got is another one. What we're going to end up using these for is a flange to build a dump tube. So we're going to have a dump tube come right off the front of the motor, keep everything clean and blowing all the exhaust down on the ground. So we've got fuel, we've got turbo, we've got a manifold, we've got all the plumbing to get the turbo working, but we need oil to feed the turbo so we don't ruin it. So this is actually a set of, it's a nylon braided line. We've bought some of these build your own AN fitting pieces where you can actually mount whatever fitting you need, build your own line. So we're actually, in this case, going to end up being probably a 45 off the top and a 45 off the bottom. So I've got a couple different other options here. This is actually so like a reducer. So you put it in the line, the feed line, which is here, and it basically reduces the amount of oil flow so you don't flood a dual ball bearing turbo and blow out any of the seals. So in addition to that, this is another feed flange. So right now on the turbo, he's gone ahead and put the return flange on it. Looks like it's not really tight, but it's just on there. This one here is going to be water and oil, but we're only going to use the oil side of it. So it should be pretty simple. For the back of the block, we're going to use this little T. So this is going to go in where the oil pressure sensor switch is, and then the oil pressure sensor switch will actually not be used because we're going to use some aftermarket gauges. So long story short, this is the T. So you can see just so far with what we've shown, it's not complex. I mean, you can buy a kit, $500-600. You can piecemeal your kit together. A lot of times you get a lot better value for piecing it together. I mean, this whole kit's not very expensive. In a future video, I'll include some of the price breakdowns. I'll get that information from Mitch and see what he spent. But let's go ahead and talk about these gauges that are going to be in the car. So guys, we're going to have a glow shift gauge. It's a pillar pod. that's going to hold two. So in these boxes, we have a boost gauge, and over here we have a oil pressure gauge. So these are the part numbers you can buy. A lot of people use these things, they're inexpensive. We're going to mount the glow shift in the dual pillar pod that goes up by the windshield. And then we're going to fasten this autometer cup to the actual gauge. It's not the gauge pod, it's the steering column. So that way we can go ahead and put our AEM Uego in it. And then that way we'll have it all visible and we didn't break the bank. What do you think about that? So I like this setup. It's clean, it's simple, it's inexpensive. Basically where it's gonna go, I'll show you here. So two of the gauges will fit here on the A pillar. The other is actually going to mount on this piece of plastic on the steering column, and it'll sit right in front of the speedometer. I did this in an EG 4-door, and it didn't occupy too much real estate. So we've got gauges, we've got a turbo, we've got oil, we've got a clutch, we've got a radiator, we've got injectors. To power the injectors though, we need something else. So the factory fuel pressure regulator is going to do the trick for what we're trying to do on 93. By doing an aftermarket pump in the tank, you basically increase the volume. So we've got a Walbro fuel pump here. It's probably backwards on your end, but it's a Walbro 450. So in the future, if we want to go E85, it's an E85 compatible pump. It is eBay special. I've ran 4 or 5 of these in different cars, and they all seem to be doing fine on low horsepower setups. So we went with that again. And in the box next to it here, I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you. So this box is actually part of a kit. So if you go online, RDT Motoring sells this entirely prefabbed kit. It's an intercooler kit for your Civic. If I can throw a picture in here, I will. The kit's around 250 bucks. It comes with all your T-bolt clamps. It comes with some of these light duty silicone couplers, which work fine. It's all smaller piping. It's not 3-inch. So I think we've got maybe 2-inch on your hot side, and then maybe 2.5, if I'm not mistaken, 2.25 on your other side. But it comes with everything you need. So you've got a whole bag full of T-bolt clamps. You can see here you've got an arsenal full of these little silicone couplers. I mean, they're literally probably more than you need. I can't imagine you'd use all these anyway. But what I'm getting to here is it comes with a blow-off valve. So the blow-off valve, you can get it flanged for whatever you want. This is a Type S style flange. So it's kind of weird. Yeah, that's gonna not seal very well. So we'll have to get Brandon to fix this. RDT, you did a poor job there, buddy. That's it's not gonna hold any boost for anybody. So guys, we've got a little bit of work ahead of us. This is something that Brandon does quite a bit. Right now we're doing it at my place for all the YouTube content. So we've got everything situated here. I've got an arsenal of parts, some fabrication, a lot of wrenching that needs to be done. So I hope you stick around. I hope you watch the entire series. Part 2 should be right around the corner. We're middle of the week now, so probably closer to the weekend, 4 or 5 days, you'll be able to see part 2. Give this video a thumbs up. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. Sorry if I said Snapchat, and I don't do Snapchat. So follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. We're almost at the monetization mark, guys. So I appreciate all your support up until this point. I couldn't have done it without you. Builds like this are probably something you'll see a little bit more frequent as some of our friends and some of our co-workers kind of catch on and want to do some of these things. But doing very best we can, and we'll catch you in the next video. So like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you in the next one. See ya.